Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and Dota players around the world. We have got a scrub tournament for you this evening. Fairy Tale versus xTc Insurgents. This is going to be a best of three. This is going to be game number one. For those of you that are just joining us, we hope you are snugged up in front of your PC, ready to watch this game of Dota. It's a little bit storming outside, a little bit raining, so hope you've got your cup of coffee next to you. But you are on this game being broadcast to you by myself, Jabba, and I've been the special privilege of actually having Cyprus from Harv also joining me. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing really well, thanks, and yourself.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, the draft is underway. So before we discuss the new meta and the new map and Dota 3, as people have been dubbed to be calling this game, let's just go through the bans and picks rather quickly. For the side of Fairy Tale, they've obviously opted to get rid of the Warlock, the Tide. For the side of xTc, they've actually banned out the Marana and the Drow. Quite a good synergy between the two, but Fairy Tale immediately goes to the Underlord. Now, this is a hero that has just recently been put into this update. It can really change how team fights go, and we'll see if Fairy Tale can actually make it happen. They've coiled that up with the Shadow Demon as well, and xTc, they get their hands on the Visage as well as the Gyrocopter. So we'll see how the draft progresses. The bands coming out here for Fairy Tale as well is going to be the PA as well as the Luna here for xTc. So things have come out rather quick. It seems like they know really what they want to do, what they want to ban out, and where they want to go from this. Now, the Underlord, that's what I want to focus on at the moment. Where and how do you see Fairy Tale working around this kind of hero? What kind of other heroes would we want to see in this kind of lineup?
Okay, so obviously what Underlord gives you is, okay, so he's an incredibly tanky hero, even early, very, very hard to bring him down. And then later on with his ultimate, it just provides a ridiculous amount of mobility. And especially now with the addition of the shrines and all that kind of stuff, and how mobile the game's going to be, I think Underlord's going to be a very, very interesting addition to whatever they decide to run with it, and in general. So, I mean, I don't know about it being a first pick, but definitely something that, and what I'm sure they're going to want to pair up with Underlord is something really, really aggressive, something that can really use that mobility to its advantage and really, really take a huge advantage of that.
Well, do you think they're going to really be abusing the sanctuaries now with this new update? We've now got 4 sanctuaries that are available on the map. We've got 4 bounty ruins that get spawned every 2 minutes, as well as 1 power up ruin as well every 2 minutes, either in the top side of the map or in the bottom side of the map. Maybe they're going to try and exploit that a little bit more, see if they can actually get those quick rotations, get those quick ganks off, and make it work. So I feel Fairy Tale maybe needs to go with a little bit of a nukish kind of build, maybe just to get in, get the job done, and then get themselves out of there. Or they could even just use it as a very defensive tool, and if the team fight's not going as well as they expected, they've got an opportunity to actually get themselves out of a rather precarious position. But we'll see how Fairy Tale actually decides to run it. The bands coming out more so here for Fairy Tale is going to be the PL as well as the Terrorblade for xTc. Now, what kind of carries can we expect? I mean, we've already got the PA, the PL that's been off the shelf. Now we've got the Drow, the Luna, and the Terrorblade being taken off the bench as well. I mean, that's not even a viable option. What could both teams look for? We've still got the Sven in the draft, as well as the Jugger. Who do you think we're going to be looking at here? And the Morph. Excuse me, and the Morph as well.
I was just about to say Morphling but for Fairy Tale, but now that xTC has just picked up the Skyroth Mage, it mightn't be the best idea anymore. Skyroth Mage can really, really punish a Morphling. And you'll see, obviously, you can see that xTC really, it can really see that Fairy Tale. That's what Fairy Tale's going to want to go for with their bands of Luna and Terrorblade. Is very, very strong in terms of illusion style carries with the Shadow Demon, which obviously illusions have been nerfed recently because you get a bit of gold killing illusions now. But yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, Morphling will be okay. I don't think great with the Skyroth, and even now with the Odie, I don't think it'll cope too well. Maybe a Juggernaut. I think Juggernaut for them will be pretty, really good. Yeah, it dodges a lot of what xTc can throw at them, and it's a relatively strong carry anyway.
But don't you think this also now opens up the opportunity here for Fairy Tail to actually pick up the AM? AM is a very good counter against OD. I mean, you should couple that up with the Omni Knight, you've got the Repel, but it looks like they're going to jump onto the Slog pick. How do you feel about this? I mean, he can still take quite a bit of damage from the Insanity's Eclipse, as well as a very defensive Astral Imprisonment from the OD, so whoever gets pounced on can actually be saved. So, xTc actually noticing the AM still in the pool, banning that out in case that was going to be a maybe mid-slot, or if they decided to maybe play AM mid, which is very unlikely, but anyway, they do ban it out anyway. So we're still looking for the mid hero for Fairy Tail, as well as their off lane for xTc. Now, I know we were talking a little bit off the air on how this new meta is being balanced, and you were talking about how you think that trial lanes are kind of a thing of the past and dual lanes are a little bit more in this kind of meta, especially with the runes. Maybe you want to elaborate on that a little bit quickly?
Okay, so the reason I said that is because with a tri lane, right, obviously a tri lane, the pros of having a tri lane is that you're going to give your carry a lot of time to farm. It's going to be a lot of space, because the idea is that you're probably going to be outnumbering whoever you're going up against. And it's 2 supports and 1 carry. Most of the time, most good drops, you'll have something that if whoever comes near that creep wave, or whatever the case may be, that person's dead. The whole point of the tri lane is to secure your carry, your farm, right? But
100%, yeah.
Now with the bounty runes that are placed, and obviously they spawn every 2 minutes, it's not worth it anymore, because obviously one of the downsides of having a tri lane is your 2 supports and your carry as well. Their net worth, or maybe not their net worth, but their experience especially, is really going to take a toll, and they're going to have to make that up at a later stage. But now I just feel like there's too much of an opportunity for at least one of the supports to make a bit of cash and do more work around the map for a tri lane to be really plausible anymore. It seems like a wasted opportunity with those bounty runes. It seems like a wasted opportunity. I mean, that's kind of what Valve seems to be throwing at the teams, like, get more mobile, get more aggressive around the map.
Yeah.
I don't see tri lanes being a thing anymore. I could be wrong. It's still very early in the meta, but it wouldn't seem doesn't seem like that you'd be using all their resources effectively if it did.
No, well, I do like your thinking, and I don't think it's too far off of what teams are probably going to be trying to do. But the game has begun. It is going to be game 1 of this best of 3. You're watching the Scrubs tournament. I am new to this tournament, so let's see how it does actually pan out. We've got introducing both teams here. Playing on the Radiant side is going to be xTc. Music is going to be playing our Outworld Devourer. We've got a Catzilla going to be playing our Gyrocopter. Dermo Furion going to be playing the Skyroth Mage. Gia Jane going to be playing the DK. And last but definitely not least is going to be Winnie the SH1T. I don't feel comfortable actually saying that, so I'm going to call him Winnie from now on. On the side of the Dire, we have got the Fairy Tail Boys. Para going to be playing our Shadow Demon. Darkstone JDR going to be playing the Omniscient Omni Knight. We've got Time Me Please going to be playing our Underlord Savage Panda on our Slog. And for the last but not least, on the side of Fairy Tail is going to be the Viper, being played by Ragnar. And it looks like they're going to smoke up here. They're going to actually put a bit of pressure here on this top bounty run. Most of the players here for xTc is actually gathered in the bottom run. Only the OD as well as the Gyro is in this vicinity. So nice little wraparound here, dropping a ward down. They're going to get a very nice sneak on here onto the OD. Dark Zone up in front. Immediate disruption out onto the OD. There comes the pit. Going to keep it in place. This is going to be first blood. There comes the nuke from the Omni Knight. And first blood going in favor of the Shadow Demon. That's a nice little catch for them. Getting that extra bit of gold on him as well. Nothing wrong getting that gold on the supports. But a little bit of a costly death there for our fellow Masek. And he's down for the count. Bot lane looks like it's just going to go ahead and settle. So, I mean, we were talking about our dual lane, tri lanes, and trying to determine what teams are going to do. And at this point in time, it looks like it's going to be a tri lane here coming out for xTc.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't quite say it's a tri-lane per se. I think what you'll probably find is that Scarlet Mage is going to be very, very mobile. I mean, it's the kind of hero that can be very mobile. Really great to go towards the mid lane and harass out the mid, give your mid a little bit more space to farm. So I think what will probably be happening is, yes, I mean, Scarlet Mage may show his face a lot in the bot lane, but then again, he's not going to be there all the time. He's going to be running back and forth, getting those bounty runes. And then helping out his mid as much as possible, and you'll probably find that Visage. I mean, they might even run around together. I mean, both of those heroes are incredibly dangerous, and have a lot of gang potential, especially as a duo. So we might see that as well, and that looks like that's going to be happening at right now even.
Yeah, well, just looking at the top lane, we already did lose the Gyro in the top. There was another kill happening, going in favor of Fairy Tail. And Catzilla actually been brought down. They've actually decided to offlane the Gyrocopter. I don't know if I'm too happy with the decision to offlane the Gyrocopter. He's got no escape potential or to get out of trouble should something happen. I mean, that pounce from Slock is really going to do quite a bit of work to him. Maybe you'd want to actually tie that up. Put a hero that can actually keep him alive a little bit more. Maybe send the Scarlet Mage there. But like you said, they're going to probably be roaming around a little bit more. And already a little bit of a tussle happening here in the top lane.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, to be honest with you, I think, especially if you look at the bot lane, DK, I mean, it's DK bot. And let's be honest, DK can fend for himself against most of what any team can throw at him, at least in a 1v1 setup. So you'll probably find that they'll probably leave him alone for the majority of the early game. I don't think he'll need too much help, but just make sure the Gyro can get some sort of farm, and they'll stay with him and give the other tri-lane a bit of a thing to worry about.
How do you feel about this matchup mid OD versus Viper? Now, OD is a very strong mid, can do a lot of harass potential, stealing that intel and being quite a nightmare to actually deal with. Do you feel Viper actually does do the countering against the OD and is a good pick against him? Or do you think maybe the Razor would have normally been the pick that you would have gone for? Or do you think the Razor? Do you think the Viper could do its work?
Yeah, I think Viper can definitely, hold out against an OD. To be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure which would normally win. I'd assume OD would probably win the matchup just. But Viper,
bot lane though. GI Jane in a little bit of trouble. Yeah, 4-man gank here from Fairy Tail. They're trying to bring down Jane. They're trying to chase more. There comes a disruption from the Shadow Demon. The pit doesn't hold in place. There comes out the Dragon Tail holding Slark in place. She's running under the tower. DJ Aura keeping her slowed down. There comes the poison from Para. Can Jane make it out? No rotations yet from the side of xTc. Running back to her tower. And there comes the pounce. And she is down for the count. Another kill going in favor of the Shadow Demon. Super unfortunate. Jane being brought down. 0 rotations coming out from their team. And it looks like they did actually have a TP up on the Visage as well as onto the Skyroth. No, not onto the Skyroth, but kind of just let her, I suppose, take a punch and go down with the best of them. It looks like from that maneuver that they're trying to prioritize farm on the Gyro.
Yeah, 100%. There was, in the end of the day, a 4-man rotation coming from the side of Fairy Tail. So they got the kill, but it took a lot of time to take down that DK, and it's also very expensive in terms of that's 4 heroes that weren't able to farm and really get their net worth up as much as they could be if they were just farming for that little while. And for stage, I thought they might not even get him because of how tanky the DK was.
Well, here's mid again. Mid again is under trouble. Museki's been jumped on here. The Pounce doesn't actually catch. He's able to make it out. They do actually lose the Omni Knight in the back of that. Musek being able to pick up that beautiful little kill there. And a little bit of a turnaround gank there. Fairy Tail trying to make something happen. Fortunately, couldn't bring home the bacon, and Omni Knight ends up paying for that little disaster. And putting that invis to good use from the Shadow Demon.
Yeah, no, 100%. One thing that Fairy Tail do need to be very, very respectful of is the turnaround potential of xTc, especially in the early stages of the game. They have a hell of a lot of burst, and just a hell of a lot of control in general, especially in the early stages. I think that Fairy Tail needs to be a little bit more respectful of that, especially with regards to the Visage and the Skyroth Mage.
No, absolutely, and I mean, especially if Musik gets balled up, he can just astral himself again after that, and negates a whole bunch of damage that could potentially be coming out to him. But something else I want to jump onto, I mean, now that this update 7's taken place, is the way that you actually upgrade your hero has changed a little bit. There's now a talent tree that heroes can actually can upgrade their heroes differently depending on the situation. So if we're looking at the Gyro at the moment, we've got his talent tree is sitting with well, before that happens, we do have a bubble coming out. They do try and catch out our poor Winnie. He's going to be brought down eventually. The Gyro comes to the party, throws down his rocket barrage. Not going to be able to pick up anything, so we lose another hero here from the side of xTc. But before we got that beautiful kill coming up onto the Skyroth, I mean, how do you see these talent trees actually building up now? How could each of these heroes upgrade the heroes? I mean, we've got the. I think it's going to come down to how the Gyro builds as well as how the Slark builds. So we've got the Slark. His options are lifesteal or damage. We've got 15 agility, 10 strength, 250 health, or 25 attack speed, and a 3-second pounce, or we've got 12 to all stats. What are the options that you could actually look for over here?
Well, I think what's so nice about the talent system is that, I mean, it's all, when talents come up, when you ever have to level them, whatever the stage is, I find it very much depends on where you are at that stage of the game. Most you'll see on both sides, it's generally speaking either, you know, on the one side is either a more aggressive style talent upgrade. So let's say, for example, let's have a look at Slark. So you've got on the first one, you got, which will come up first, is you can either add 15 damage or you can add 10% lifesteal. So you might find that if they're on the front foot and he wants to be really, really aggressive, then you might choose the 15 damage. But you know, which seems to be the case at the moment. But if he feels like, no, I'm struggling a little bit here with my sustain, I really need to get need to be able to survive a lot more in fights and that sort of thing, then he might go for the lifesteal. I think he'll be fine.
Well, a little bit of a triple pit stack there from the Underlord. The two supports are running into it, actually clearing that creep wave rather quickly, so they may be actually pushing this top tier 1 at the moment. But like you said, I mean, I suppose it all depends on how the game is going for each of the cores, on how they actually want to start building their heroes. And we'll just time will tell. I don't think I think it's a little bit too early to tell at the moment, but Viper may actually find out Jane over here. She does actually throws out the ulti. Jane is going to come in, drops the Dragon Tail, going to try and run out now. She's going to be slowed down from that the toxic poison. She's trying to get out of there. We've got the pit as well as the Omni Knight in hot pursuit, but we've got Musik in the back lines, going to be trying to bring down their Astrals up. Our Omni Knight's going to keep him out of the shake of things. Degen Ori is not going to be doing anything for him now, so Jane able to walk it off. And I mean, that's pretty tanky. I mean, that's 3 rotations coming out from the side of Fairy Tail, not being able to even bring down the DK. I mean, at this point in time, I mean, okay, Fairy Tail is leading 4-1 at the 10-minute mark, close to 10-minute mark. Do you think that that Fairy Tail can go the whole 9 yards at the moment? Just the way that the DK is tanking, the way that Musik has actually got a chunk of farm on him. I mean, getting a lot of stuff done, but bot lane gets a TP in. Jane does come in before the tower drops down. Immediate silence out onto the Underlord. There comes out that TP we're talking about. Can it be defensive enough? Rengar, is he going to be in the vicinity? He's going to get left behind, but the rest of the team does not care. They do not know that he was left behind. And xTc going to go back to farming. Jane actually expended Dragon Form for that, so yeah, maybe it's a tad of a win for them.
Look, okay, to be honest with you, I think I just want to talk about the draft. We never really spoke about the draft too much in terms of what I think either draft really wants to expect to do and all that kind of stuff. I feel like as the game gets later, Fairy Tail is going to be happier. I feel like, and it's weird because I feel like the later this game goes, the more this Slark gets a bit of farm, and the Slark gets more and more items up and his network up. I feel like there's going to be less and less that that xTc has at their disposal to deal with it. Stark's kind of one of those heroes that if you don't stop him in the early game, he can just kind of run with it, and then you'll regret it heavily afterwards. And right now, he hasn't had too much of a problem.
Do you think do you think Slark is the hero that can actually carry the entire team? And I mean, I'm looking at the side of xTc. I mean, they've got some heavy right clickers here, DK, the OD, as well as the Gyro. On the side of Fairy Tail, they've only really got the Viper as well as the Slark, and it also depends on how the Viper actually decides to actually build. It's not revealing too much yet if he decides to go the mech build or just a very much tanky build. We don't know yet, so time will tell. But Godzilla being caught out here, he's going to be brought down. Kill going in favor of the Underlord this time around, and does hit the deck. Godzilla, I don't actually know why he was in that position to begin with.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I think they did have a ward up to kind of show a bit of a rotation, but it's quite deep in their jungle. So I mean, by the time someone gets to the point where their ward actually is, it's probably too late considering where he was. So you might be a little bit frustrated with his support saying, you know, where's my? I mean, a good ward to have in this position is something, you know, a little bit further up, so you can see TP rotations by the tower, but. That wasn't available, and because it wasn't available, he probably shouldn't have been in that position, especially considering he didn't see too many people on the map.
No, well, it looks like Fairy Tail want to make a play top. They did get that TP coming out from Underlord. Now Masik in a little bit of trouble, going to get caught out there by the pit, but here comes down the call down from the Gyro. Masik hits the deck in the back lines now. Savage Panda, he's the one that's focused out. He's got his dance happening at the moment. Nice little aggressive play there from the Shadow Demon, holding Jane in place for just a little bit longer, and looks like the call is to retreat from the side of Fairy Tail, and still losing one of the heroes from xTc. Fairy Tail still seem very hesitant of moving into this lineup that xTc has.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, it's quite daunting to go up against. Okay, I'll talk a bit after this fight happens. On one second already.
Well, Viper coming around from the back lines, trying to work on Jane, caught her a bit, slowing her down, focusing now when he does go down. Viper also does hit the deck. Masik is back in the mix of things now, does get that astral imprisonment up. Gonna keep that hero in place. Now Slark, oh, there comes a call down on absolutely nothing. Godzilla, I don't know what you were doing there, my friend, but now that cooldown is wasted. Could have actually been used to bring down the Omni Knights. Didn't make that happen. Slark quite deep, throwing down that silence onto the Omni Knights and trying to throw it as much as he can onto the Slark. Now, we've got two big hitters here for the side of Fairy Tail. We've got the Viper, we've got the Gyro that excel a lot of things. I believe that I'm having an audio issue. I'm just going to reconnect quickly, because I've just got feedback that I've got no in-game sound. So I'll rejoin you guys now. Cypress, if you can just keep the guys entertained, I'll be back with you now.
100%. Alright, so I'm assuming that Jabba's probably disconnected. Okay, so... okay, there's a fight happening at the moment. I'll do my analysis after the fight, just so you guys watch what's going on.
Alright, well, I am back. Top lane. Musik does... Oh no, it was the Skywrath Mage actually ended up going down to Ragnar. We lost the Omni Knight going down to the hands of the Skywrath. And now Godzilla trying to find parry. He does bringing him down. Slark, he's looking for more. Does actually have his Shadow Blade up. I mean, this is a big item for the Slark. As soon as he gets that, he comes online rather quickly. Godzilla, now the focus of the Slark. We don't have the Astral Imprisonment just yet available. Couldn't actually save his teammates. And Savage Panda is going to get himself out of dodge. Try to get that relocate from the Underlord. He wasn't able to actually get back in there. And I can call it the relocate. It's actually called Dark Rift. My apologies. It's the new time that we're seeing Underlord in a captain's mode. I mean, the game is live. This is what you dream of. But now Musik, he's in trouble. Gets caught up into the pit. Does right click down the Shadow Demon, and it still does go down. Gets a beautiful 3 killing spree on the Shadow Demon as well. So kills traded for both of them. XP going in terms of the going to the Shadow Demon, and Musik getting the gold. So Omni Knight does hit the deck. Now Underlord, he's the one that's been focused out. Familiar stuns him out. They're going to try and continue it out, but no, that's not going to work out. And so now it looks like xTc, they're going to be hovering around this tier 1 tower. They're going to pretty much leave Jane to do really much whatever she needs at the moment. She's already got a blade mail. How do you feel about a blade mail in a DK? It's not very a common buy, I suppose. They're hoping to use Jane as this frontliner bull to actually just run in and get these kills. But before you go into that, top lane, Underlord, a little bit of pressure here. Catzilla gets petted out, but Underlord does hit the deck. Para throwing down that purge, going to keep him in place. Lark picking up the kill on the Skyrock Mage. Now Catzilla, he's looking to get himself out of this position. Does go down to the tower, but cash is shared and still sitting in favor of Fairy Tail at the 16-minute mark. Let's have a quick look at our XP graphs, as it's looked like in the beginning of the game things were going rather well for Fairy Tail, and they were bounced back here a little bit at the 9-minute mark, and now he's sitting in the side of xTc. So xTc getting some work done. Look, not a huge amount of net worth difference, only 500, and in terms of XP, sitting in favor of XT as well. And top lane though, just outside the Rosh pit, Musik in a little bit of trouble here. Doesn't have his astral imprisonment ready for now, but he's gonna be brought down once again. There comes the bubble from the Shadow Demon, gonna hold Jane in place, and that pit doing so much work here, gonna allow the side of Fairy Tail to actually just escape out of here. But Slocky wants back in. Omni Knight working on Jane in the backlines. Slock trying to find his perfect victim. He's going to jump onto Winnie, and we're going to lose Jane as well as Winnie, and now so does the Gyro go down. And like you said, that Slock with that Shadow Blade is going to become an absolute nuisance to deal with. And can you notice something that I've noticed? None of them actually have any sentries or wards or any detection of any sort.
Yeah, 100%. Sentry is definitely a big thing that needs to be getting. I know a lot of teams are hesitant to get dust on the Slark just because of the fact that he can just purge it off. But definitely sentries. I mean, considering like you said, they had a bit of a net worth lead. I don't think they'll have that much longer.
I'm sure if we really look, it's gone.
Yeah, but yeah, if they want any hope of staying in this game, they need to be able to catch Slark before he gets going in these fights. They need to catch him off guard. They need to catch him with a sentry or something like that. Because if they don't, it's gonna be a very, very sad game for them, I fear.
No, absolutely. I'm already Slark has been getting way too much out of this map. So let's just take a look at individual player net worths at the moment. Slark sitting top of the log. I mean, earlier in the game, it was the DK as well as the OD. They were sitting top, and now things have changed around. But now we've got the Ragnar Viper trying to make plays here on the Skyrock. Does bring him down. Winnie in the back lines trying to silence out the players. Going to make it happen. Pit holding in Catzilla in place. But Slark in the back lines trying to see if he can find anything here. And does run into view of the tower. No, cheeky little play there from the Savage Panda. But I mean, that's what we can expect from a Savage person.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you're talking about net worth as well. I mean, obviously you'll see something quite interesting is, okay, that's just changed with the tower going down mid.
Well, the top lane, let's not focus on mid just yet. Top lane, Underlord throwing down his pit, throwing down his fire from the skies. Going to try and secure themselves this tier 1 top tower here for the side of Fairy Tail. They do get it, going in favor of the Viper, and in the mid lane, Jane picking up that mid tower as well. So now, there comes the Dark Rift. She can actually pop the dust. The dust is actually popped, but now they actually decided to back off. TP rotation coming in from the Viper. This is the sign for Jane to get out. Omni Knight, as well as the Shadow Demon in the backlines. 4 of them now on Jane. They're going to be able to try and pick her down. She is rather tanky. There comes the Blade Mail. Does change into Dragon form. Trying to turn it around. We've got the Familiars coming into play. Not going to be able to keep her alive for much longer. And she does hit the deck. 4-man rotation bringing her down, and that is going to be another kill going in favor of Fairy Tail. I mean, the rotations that these guys are doing here from Fairy Tail is just getting so much work done. I feel the guy is being very underwhelmed. I mean, there's just so much that he needs to deal with, as well as what the OD needs to deal with. We've got Derma Fury, and he's going to hit the deck as well rather quickly. I mean, that wasn't even enough time for the cooldown to actually land, and he was out. And look at this Slark. Look at this Slark just sitting here. He's waiting. Does get the pounce off. Does land onto Winnie. They're going to try and make something happen here. Can he throw out that assault assumption? It doesn't happen in time. Panda taking quite a chunk of damage. And Musek sitting in the back lines getting pitted out here from the Underlord. And I mean, we can just see the strength of the team fight potential that Underlord actually brings to this. So for all of you guys that were playing pubbies with Underlord, I mean, this is how you play him. You sit behind your team and you keep your team, you keep the enemy team stationary. You just throw out those fireballs from the skies and you let the team do the rest.
Yeah, 100%. Sorry, I've just received word that my microphone... never mind. Give me 1 second.
Alright, cool. Well, the side of the Dire, Fairy Tail, they've actually smoked up. They're trying to see if they can find a pick-off. They're actually going to maybe find the Skyroth Mage here. Duma Fury, and they actually turn around. Slark does find him. Pounce down, and... oh, that was like as long as what one of my farts lasted. That was very quick. Now, Winnie in the mid-tower, trying to see if he can actually try and defend this. What is a Visage trying to do defending this? And now he's running out further to the mid lane. One right click from the Ragnar. The Viper does get that kill. And now they're going to look at their attentions to this tier 1 tower. The side from xTc sitting rather far behind you. Kadzilla sitting behind the tier 1. Jane running out to the top lane. We've got the glyph being used out here. It does refresh after tier 1 towers have been brought down. So it is now open. And all tier 1 towers for the side of xTc are down. The barriers are open here for Fairy Tail to make something happen. One tier 1 tower stands here in the way for xTc to be sitting on the same objective count. But now G.I. Jane spots out Savage Panda. Doesn't look like they noticed one another. We immediately Shadow Blades up as soon as those pings came out. He's going to get the pounce and going to pop that blade mail. Going to prevent a couple of right clicks here. She's going to try and run away. Does have the Echo Saber available as well, but there comes the disruption from the Shadow Demon. Perfect timing to keep him in place. There's the pit. There's the fire. And Jane was brought down from the God's wrath above. And that is super unfortunate. The reason she was up there was maybe just to backdoor that tier 1 tower. Fortunately, Slark probably had the same ideas and didn't allow that to happen. Being brought down, good rotations coming out from Fairy Tail. But I mean, this is what we expect. I mean, this is like a IO that can basically relocate an entire team in an instant. And I think teams haven't really like worked around this yet. Here comes the pit out from the Underlord. Going to keep Winnie in place. Derma Fury is also in a little bit of trouble. Does get brought down here from the Slark. There comes the Shadow Dance, going to bring down the 2 supports in the back line. Familiar's trying to do a bit of work here. And now Gyro's going to be brought down as well. Musek, he's trying to stay alive. Forces himself out here as well. So he is still alive. Jane walking her way to the front lines. But the side of Fairy Tail looking at taking this objective. Tier 2 tower down for the count. And Fairy Tail looking in a very dominant position.
Sorry about that. Apparently my microphone's a bit quiet. I have tried to fix it. If you can't hear me, I do apologize. I'll try to fix it if there is another game. I'm not entirely sure about that. But I'm not too sure what the problem is with my mic. If there is a problem still, I do apologize, but I'll try to keep working on it.
Alright, well, as we saw, I mean, I think teams are struggling to actually deal with Underlord at the moment. I mean, they haven't really been, because he's just been put into this update. Underlord is new to this update 7, and it is very difficult for teams to actually counter what the Underlord can do. But they jump on in here. Savage Panda in the front lines. Pit does come down. Here's the Gyro. He's going to get astraled up. Going to keep him protected for the moment. And now there comes DK. Going to pop it out. There comes the beacon, the blade mail. Going to try and turn it around. Ragnar slowing down the DK. Trying to cut her out. Underlord trying to be quite aggressive here, jumping forward. Slark in the backlines does bring down the Visage. Now Ragnar turns it around, throws down that last right leg, bringing down the Skyroth Mage. And now Musek, he's the one in a little bit of trouble here. Ragnar trying to chase him down, does get brought down. That Dragon Line's doing too much work, almost got his way to his Manta style, and this is gonna potentially translate into a tier 3 tower being brought down. We get the buyback from Musek, so he's looking to actually make something happen here. Astral Imprisonment up. There comes the call down. Homing missile throwing out onto the Viper. He has to get out of dodge. Savage Panda, he's running his little sweetheart out, and once he's out of vision, so his HP will regen. The homing missile does land, not going to be good enough to actually catch him, and they're just going to walk it off. Slark was thinking about it, but then decided to actually back off. I mean, Slark's sitting at about 4.8k at the moment. What do you think he's going to be building for? I mean, I see Scuddy is built up in his inventory. He's ready to actually build that. Do you feel that's a good build, or do you think that maybe the Abyssal could have been the better option?
Jab, I couldn't really catch what you said there. I think your app is doing that funny thing again.
Alright, tell me if it's a little bit better now.
Okay, there you go. Sorry about that. I didn't catch that last fight. Anyway, would you like to repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Slark's sitting on around about 4.8k. I see he's got Scuddy loaded up into his quick buy options here. Now, how do you feel about Scuddy as opposed to Abyssal? I mean, we've got Abyssal that could actually bring down any BKB heroes that may be coming online pretty soon. I mean, OD and DK should have already had the BKB. They don't have it yet. But before we get to that, fight breaks out. Yeah, we're going to lose the Skyroth Mage. We're going to try and lose the Shadow Demon. They're trying to find more. Jane turning her attentions onto the Shadow Demon. But in the meantime, we do lose the Gyro. And the Shadow Demon does actually get brought down, but at the cost of the Gyro. Don't think it was worth it. There comes the dust from Jane, but gets surrounded completely out from the rest of the team. 4-on-1 seems completely unfair, and this is something that would happen in those dark places, but being brought down essentially, sitting at 18:35 at the 27-minute mark. Things are looking a little bit dire for the Radiant.
Yeah. If you'd like me to just chat a little bit about that, the Scuddy pickup set of Abyssal Blade. I think the reason he's probably going for it is because most of the damage coming out, and you'll see it now, that's hitting him, and that's really giving a bit of a nuisance. It's largely magical damage as opposed to physical. So it's going to help a lot more in terms of that, to block that magical damage. And considering he's not too worried about physical damage at the moment. And in terms of locking players down, heroes down, I feel like slowing them and keeping them controlled instead of completely stunned, it doesn't really matter too much at this point. I mean, they're more worried about locking him down than him being able to lock them down. So if they, if they want to be able to hit him while he's hitting them, he's pretty much at this point going to laugh it off and say, "Try your worst, I'll hit you harder." So I think that Scotty is a really great pickup for him. Gives him the control, a little bit of control that he wants. Gives him the tank that he wants, especially with the stats, and will give a little bit of damage as well.
Alright, perfect. And then looking at his talent tree, he's actually opted to put a 10% into Lifesteal, 15 into AG, and then we will see what he decides to actually upgrade next. I have a feeling it's going to be the 25 attack speed, considering that the Scud is giving him the tankiness that he actually needs, and he's not really too threatened at this point in time either. So we'll see how he actually decides to actually build up. But I mean, now we're sitting at around about 30 minutes into the game. 18:35. Fairy Tail look like they're in a very commanding lead. Just looking at our graphs, both in about the 15k zone. Do you think that, or rather, let me ask you, what would it take for xTc to actually get themselves back in this game?
To be honest with you, with the Gyrocopters farm at the moment, and even the DKs, look, I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be incredibly difficult for them at this point. The only way I see them getting back into this game is if Fairy Tail really overstep their boundaries and go a little bit too ham.
Well, that's... Okay, well, sorry to interrupt, but that was a little bit crazy. The Skyroth Mage going down. We do lose the Aegis onto the Slark, and now we've got Winnie. He's in a little bit of trouble here. Does actually have to shut it down up here, the Slark. They're going to get the Rex. They're going to get the Melee Rex now. Jane, she's coming into it. She's all the dragoned up. Stuns out the Shadow Demon. There comes the... trying to save the Omni Knight, but eventually goes down to the Visage. Winnie's taking a chunk of damage under the fire from the Underlord. Savage Panda looking for more. The homing missile is going to be going out and going to be brought down here from the Slark. It's now 4-on-3. Fairy Tail still hanging around. Looks like they still want to make this work. They've got the Slark. They're going to be able to potentially get the second Rex. They do bring down the Slark. I don't really know if that was really worth it. I mean, they've got Musik picking up that 10 kill streak from the slot. That puts almost 1,000 gold in his pocket, building towards his moonshot. I mean, he's going to be hitting like an absolute trucker at this point in time. And okay, now I think he's going to be building towards his moonshot. Do you think that's the right option here for the OD?
The OD, let's have a look. I don't know, to be honest with you, right now, I think he needs to make sure that, I mean, he's throwing out a bit of damage, and I don't think it's his attack speed that he needs to be worrying about too much. It's just the amount of damage he can throw out. I think it's a bit early to go for a moonshot, considering all he has other than that is a hurricane pike.
I suppose
maybe a sheep would have been really good this game, building towards that. I mean, he might have been really desperate to get the money off, like, as soon as he got it, but I don't know. I feel like xTc building a lot more control.
Alright, well, there goes Musik going ham on him. He's going to try and bring down the Viper. The repel is going to be good. Not going to be able to take a little bit of extra damage from those arcane bolts. And now Slark, he's invised up, trying to find his next target. Astral Imprisonment, going to keep Slark in position. Beautifully done. And I suppose the reason why Musik actually went for the Moonshot is because, I mean, if we just look at his kill to deaths, I mean, he's not feeding at all. I mean, his deaths are rather low, and he's got the highest kills on the team. So, I mean, I can understand his thinking. I mean, he's doing rather well. He needs to get as much damage out as possible. And with Jane in the front lines tanking it up, as well as the Visage, he doesn't really need to go that BKB build that we generally see. Sheep, I would agree with you, could be really, really good. I think the thing is that you may get tempted to actually use it on the Slark, and the Slark dark packs, and then you've wasted your sheep on the Slark. So maybe that's a good question to maybe ask them after the game, is the reason behind the Moonshot as opposed to the sheep.
Yeah, look, I mean, it could work, but the reason I said sheep was just because they need to be able to put this, get this Slark under control, and right now he's their best hope to be able to farm an item like sheep. You know, if it's going to help them bring out the damage, and if they really need the sheep, then that might work as well, but I think that might be a bit of an optimistic play, but we'll have to see how things progress.
Yeah, well, beautiful, just a little pick off there from the Slark. Now we've got the OD trying to go ham. We're going to focus on him. Does get brought down in the back line. Skyroth is down for the count. Visage, he died earlier to the Slark, and now Musik, he does hit the deck as well. Can't stand toe-to-toe against the Slark, right-clicking you like that, and does eventually pay with his life. Ketsula, he's trying to get himself out of dodge over there. Jane taking a brunt of punishment over here and not being able to pick up another kill. And at this point now, lost 4 of those members of the side of xTc. Ketsula, he's trying to survive out here, trying to kite around. They do spot out the Slark, going to get the pounce off onto Winnie, and they're going to be disrupted up here from the disruptor. Gyro not getting much done. Throwing out that rocket barrage. Don't know if it's going to be enough. Still trying to heal up through the sanctuary of the fountain. Fountain's not going to be good enough. Omni Knight is around the corner. There comes the repel, and now the sanctuary is down. While that is happening, Viper taking top lane. We got Pit Lord pushing out the bot lane, and things are going rather awry for the plans that xTc actually had.
Yeah, very much so. They just got a nice free tower top with the Viper. Might even get a melee Rax as well. In fact, probably will by the looks of things. So yeah, I think things looking really, really grim for the side of the Radiance. I wouldn't be surprised if a GG call comes soon. No, I don't see.
There we go.
There it is.
There comes the GG. So there you have it. Game 1 under the belt for the Scrubs tournament. xTc couldn't hold their breath long enough, and Fairy Tale was able to bring home the victory. We're going to jump into game number 2, but before we do, maybe you can tell us a little bit more where you think that things didn't go so well from xTc. Do you think that it was maybe the laning phase? Do you think it was just their draft that actually fell apart? Do you think it was maybe just the dominance of the Underlord? That's a new hero that teams actually haven't played against, that don't know how to actually deal with him. Where do you think things kind of went wrong? We won't spend too long because we're going to jump into game number 2, but maybe just give us a quick rundown before that happens.
Okay, so first of all, well, I think the Underlord might have been a factor, and I think it probably was. I think the biggest thing, I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, was the Slark. You saw in fights, the moment he got his Shadow Blade, even if fights were going even-ish, Slark had never died, not once died in those fights, at least in the early stages. So they might get like a 4-on-3, but Slark got all those 3 kills, and he ran out, very fine. And they just had nothing to deal with, and they didn't have enough lockdown. They didn't have enough damage because if Slark was even low, he had the Omni Knight to save him or the ST to save him. So just simply put, didn't have enough to deal with the Slark, and that's what let them down in the end.
All right, well, perfect. Let's hope that xTc can go to the drawing board, pick up a draft that works a little bit better, and we will join you guys in game number 2. I am Jabba, joined by Cypress from Hive Gaming. We will see you guys very, very shortly. Do stay tuned. For now, cheers.
Sorry about that. Wilson messaged me saying that he can't hear me.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and Dota players around the world. Welcome to game number 2 of the Scrubs tournament, xTc vs Fairy Tail. Game 1 was taken quite convincingly by Fairy Tail with a quite a spectacular draft, definitely picking up that Underlord, doing a lot of work. Slark being banned out as well, so both teams really showing the respect for the side of Fairy Tail's draft, banning out that Underlord first off the bat as well as the Slark. But as that is said, it is going to be this game number 2. You are listening to Jabba. I'm joined by Cypress from Hive Gaming. And how are you doing this evening? What did you think of game 1?
Okay, so with regards to game 1, I think the problem was just xTc's draft really didn't have enough answers for what Fairy Tail's draft kind of presented, especially with the Slark. So I think xTc this time around really needs to work on building a draft that doesn't kind of deteriorate what they want to do, but also they can't be in a position where they can't do anything if their plan kind of falls aside a little bit.
Alright, well, they have decided to actually also just ban out the Nug as well as the Tide. Now, the Slot got a lot of work done this time around. xTc being able to pick up the Marana, banning it out in the first phase as well as the Drow. Drow is still in the pool. We'll see if xTc decide to pick it up. For the side of Fairy Tail, showing the supports though quite early off the bat, picking up the Ogre Magi as well as the Rubik. So I suppose the Rubik can also be a little bit of a deterrent. Should xTc decide to pick up any big ability heroes, I think that would be a good deterrent that if xTc decides to actually jump down that route to kind of prevent them from going that way. Do you think xTc is going to pick up the Drow? Very nice composition between the Marana as well as the Drow.
Okay, yes, I wouldn't rule it out. It's definitely possible. I mean, generally, if you're picking up a Drow, you'd like to. I mean, you can pick it up with a Marana, but I'd like to. If I were drafting, I would kind of pick up a Drow alongside something like an SD, because then you know for a fact that you've got something that works with the Drow in lane really well. And then end up going for the Undying. Also a really strong lineup. I like xTc's draft in the beginning stages more than Fairy Tail's for the moment, just because Fairy Tail have already shown their hand in terms of these are the supports they're going to be using for this game. So now I think xTc definitely have the advantage in terms of how they're going to start drafting in the next phase of the draft phase, knowing okay, these are definitely their 2 supports, and they're looking for this and that. Where xTc's draft, Rana can be played as a roaming support, or can be played as a core hero. And Undying, whilst he's almost definitely going to be a support, you don't quite know how they're going to run him. Whereas Rubik and Ogre are kind of obvious how they're going to be run in terms of what their jobs are going to be as supports. So I think right now xTc definitely in a much stronger position than they were in the last game of the draft.
Well, I mean, we do have the Undying being picked up. I do find that the Undying falls off a little bit to the later part of the game, especially when you start reaching the 40, 45 minute, 50 minute game. Undying starts not being as impactful as what other heroes would be. It depends on how he decides to itemize. If he gets the Vlads, gets the Pop online, mech as well. Also, a little bit of a concern when he drops down Tomb. Rubik has that very close window to actually jump in, steal that tomb, and before you know it, you've got zombies fighting zombies. This is like going to be the Walking Dead. If xTc don't actually bring something else to the table that could actually also be stolen. I mean, Marana's got a couple of spells that are also very good that Rubik can actually jack as well. But we'll see what Fairy Tail decides to actually couple up here with their 2 supports already being picked up. And we'll wait to see what xTc decides to actually bring to the front. The extra bands coming out now at this point is going to be the AM as well as the Clockwork for xTc. And for the side of Fairy Tail, they're going to ban out the PA as well as the CK. Now, generally when we see these kind of heroes, I mean, you kind of lean towards a certain kind of idea that they're leaning towards. Fairy Tail, they decided to actually pick up the Dragon Knight, the DK. Maybe it can do a little bit more work than what xTc can. xTc had a Dragon Knight in the safe lane, solo safe lane, and couldn't get too much work done. It wasn't bad, but I suppose that it was very much hindered in terms of what the potential could have been. Maybe Fairy Tail decide to actually run DK in the mid lane. Do you feel that that's a possibility?
Yeah, I mean, I think the way xTc ran it was okay. I mean, because DK, the reason I said it was okay because in the end he was still a solo lane. So DK thrives on having a bit of a level advantage and being able to farm relatively effectively. I think he's generally better in the mid lane because it's easier in the mid lane to, if you need to make things happen, to leave your lane and go to the top or bot lane and do some pushing as well. Because DK is all about that early aggression, being really tanky, really hard to deal with, and a little bit of early game push. And now with the draw range, the draw range again, it's so obvious what they're. Not that it's a bad thing, but it's very obvious now what Fairy Tail are wanting to do. They're wanting early aggression, mid game, hard pushing, and now at least xTc, they'll be in a nice position where they know exactly what they're dealing with in terms of what the opponents are throwing at them.
Well, don't you think that actually sits in xTc's favor, considering that their draft, I also feel that xTc's draft is also pretty mid-game-ish at the moment. The Undying kind of sends me that signal as well. Vengeful, she can also move to a core position in the much later parts of the game, as well as the Kunkka. But I mean, at the moment, xTc and Fairy Tail, they're going to have early fights, and this game is going to go until maybe like 35 minutes, and then we're going to have like this massive war on our hands before it's getting to the later part of the game. So we'll see if it does actually go that route. I think the draw is a big concession, saying that like this is what we want to move to, and potentially that could work in favor of xTc, and maybe Fairy Tail identified this as well and said, well, okay, if you're going to do this kind of early game strat, then let's make that happen. So we'll see how the teams do play it out. Fairy Tail, they've got their band coming out now. Before that band does come out, looking at the laning phases here, we think that DK, my assumption is, correct me if I'm wrong, DK in the mid, we're going to have the Ogre as well as the Rubik and the Drow potentially in an aggressive try, potentially.
Possibly. I mean, like, I would prefer Draw Ranger in the safe lane, and then what you might even find is that, assuming that DK does go mid, which could, I mean, Dro could also go mid as well, but let's just say, for argument's sake, DK goes mid in this lineup. Now, what I think that Fairy Tail are going to be looking for is an offlaner to couple along with the Ogre, and that's something that would work really well in Fairy Tail's lineup is something like an Axe. Awesome with Ogre. I mean, it's something that Bravado were running for quite a while. Before this patch, and just before the.
What about a Void?
Decent with the Dro Ranger when she gets a Dragon Lance up, and also decent with DK. But again,
Otherwise, I want to techies. If you're not going to give me a Void, I want to techies.
I know you want your techies, Java. I don't think that's gonna happen.
Oh, don't break my heart.
I would. Don't you worry. I mean, I love watching techies games, but because they're few and far between. But I don't think that's what Fairy Tail are looking for.
Oh, you're going to break my heart. All right, well, we're looking for the off lane. You feel that it's going to be an Axe. I think potentially with their Bloodlust, Void could also do really well here. We'll see this. We'll see what Fairy Tail actually decides to do. But Fairy Tail has actually banned out the Magnus, and xTc's actually banned out the Legion Commander. I don't know what the thinking was behind the Legion, why they would have potentially wanted to ban out the Legion. I think maybe the Life Stealer would have been a little bit more of a disaster here for the side of Fairy Tail. But I mean, nonetheless, the Legion is out. xTc now to pick up their... I assume we're still looking for their core hero here from xTc. Going to be an off-lane Mirana. They do pick up the Bloodseeker. Now, what position are they going to be able to run this Bloodseeker? I know we can jungle the Bloodseeker. We can play him in the safe lane. What kind of position can we expect out here from xTc to actually run this BS?
That's one of the nice things about Bloodseeker. I've seen a lot of Bloodseekers recently running in the offlane, solo in fact, and it's quite difficult. I mean, and the reason it's so viable now, especially, is because he's got all those camps near the offlane to farm if things go badly. So, I mean, he won't necessarily be bullying probably whoever he's with if he's alone, but he probably won't be because if he does go in the offlane, I reckon that the Undying will go with him. So that might be a very, very interesting combination, in fact. So, yeah, actually, that's what I'm going to say. I think Bloodseeker is probably going to go offlane, but dual lane at the very least.
Oh, wow.
That I did not see coming. That I did not see coming.
Wow, how could we not see it coming? I mean, Invoker ranged, Spirit Forges ranged. I mean, this is the gift. Although Invoker has actually been nerfed quite a bit, it actually uses a little bit more mana. At least this is what my Invoker friend players tell me, is that Invoke actually costs a little bit more mana, so it's actually a little bit more mana dependent, as well as his Spirit Forges only come out, I think, at a level 15, if I'm correct. I do stand under correction. This is like learning Dota all over again. So
yeah, 100%.
you got to forgive the veterans that we don't know everything anymore. But nonetheless, the game has begun. This is gonna be game number 2. Let's get ready to DOTA as the teams are making their way out of their throne rooms and trying to head towards those bounty runs. We saw first blood in the first game, and it looks like doesn't look like they're going to be trying it again. They're actually just going to be settling to actually pick up the runs and trying to make sure that they actually secure themselves that bounty. So we got the Mirana and the Mummy sitting in the bot lane, trying to make sure they pick up that bounty run. We've got Ketzilla as well as Winnie trying to secure that top lane, and Gia Jane going to be playing the Bloodseeker. So now this kind of tells me that this is going to be a farming Bloodseeker, going to be in the safe lane, and Ketzilla is going to be actually playing the off lane. Musik is going to be playing the Kitty Cat mid, and Duofurin is going to be playing duo with our Kunka in the off lane. We'll see if that pans out. If it does go according to what I said, we've got Tommy, please. He looks like he's making his way to the off lane. Invoker, typically a mid lane core, and then there comes the tri lane in the bot. Darkstone on the Rubik. We've got Para going to be playing our Ogre Magi, and then the Drow. Last but definitely not least, the Savage Panda that did a huge amount of work in the first game on that slot.
Yeah, again, it's I suppose this is. I mean, the lanes that xTc are running are also incredibly viable. That's what's one of the nice things about their drafts, is that it's very difficult to predict how they were going to line this up.
It was, and I suppose the way that they kept us on our toes is the same way as they're keeping their opponents on their toes as well. So it makes it really interesting to see that. Even confusing us a little bit is also confusing the team. Not saying that we know everything about the game, but it really makes it a little bit more interesting. Teams have got to counter a little bit better. Even the laning phase is a lot more different now as well. I mean, we mentioned it in game 1 that we'll not really see it, but teams will more likely be running dual lanes so that the support can run off, get that bounty run, as you said, and yeah, let's see if they can actually try and make a bit of better plays.
Yeah, no, 100%. What I will say is that I questioned why they're running Ogre Magi in the safe lane in a tri lane. And the reason I suppose now I kind of understand it, because I mean that combination Kunka and Undying, that's going to be very potent, especially when it gets to like your levels 3 and 4. What's happening here?
I did misread the chat. Are they going to actually retweet? This may potentially be a remake. It looks like it's just me and you in this game, Cypress. Only if we could take control of these heroes, and we'll show the teams on how you actually play these heroes. Well, that's going to be it for us at the moment. We're going to actually make it into a re-AP. So don't go anywhere. For those of you on the stream, we'll be back shortly, and the game will get underway very, very soon. So don't go anywhere. We will see you guys very, very soon.
I think there's server lag.
Right, and welcome back. We are in the re-AP. Things are going to get heated rather quickly. The game had just started before things started getting a little bit crazy on the server, so this is going to just be a re-AP. The teams have actually been decided, and considering that we've actually been through the teams, the team names, the players, maybe let's just talk about the overall draft. I mean, looking at what we see here, who do you feel has the better lineup?
Okay, so in this game, I don't think there's your better lineup. I just think that both teams need to be very, very particular on when they push their advantages. So, in the case of Fairy Tale, they've decided to go a draw lineup, and whilst draw lineups are very, very strong, the only thing about make sure that your draw lineup works is that you need to be incredibly disciplined. So, because draw has between that 25 minutes and like that mid-game time, that's when she's at her absolute strongest. And you need, especially if you're doing a push lineup, which it looks like they're doing pretty much with the heroes that they're running, they need to be very disciplined and very, very conscious about their timings, their pushing, making sure they're getting enough done in that time period. Because if they don't, that could be a huge, huge problem. Because later on, Dro does fall off a little bit. I mean, yeah, she does deal a lot of damage, but she doesn't compete with a lot of other carries. And when heroes on the side of xTc get their items up, when they get their BKBs, blinks, that sort of thing, to become more gap closing heroes and get on top of the Drow Ranger, that's when she's going to start struggling. So I think on the side of Fairy Tail, they just need to be very diligent with their timings. Make sure that they make sure that they push when they need to push, and be very, very clever. I mean, it's pretty much the same for both. Make sure they run the strats that they have in mind to the T, because if they don't, I think it's going to be more costly towards Fairy Tail than xTc. I think xTc has a more well-rounded lineup.
Like ready to fight constantly kind of lineup.
Like I feel like xTc's team is more of a team that can survive a backup plan if things don't go the way they wanted to in the early stages of the game, whereas it's a bit of an oh dear situation if if Fairy Tail find themselves really, really far behind.
All right. Well, I do agree with you. I mean, the lineup of xTc, they are like the Green Berets. They're ready to rock and roll any time of the day. And the side of Fairy Tail are more like those heavy, big thinkers that like to drop those big bombs down and like to think of a proper strategy. And it could actually turn around and be super unlucky. For example, if the DK actually transforms into dragon mode and they don't actually take a fight, it's got the cooldowns. We've got the invoker spells that are on cooldowns. But pretty much other than that, working around the invoker and the DK, they're also pretty really good to go majority of the time as well. So we'll just see and make sure that they do pick the right fights.
100%. Analyzing what's going down in the bot lane, I commented a bit in the beginning of the game, but I'll just say it again. Or the beginning of the last game. I don't really agree with Ogre being the bot lane, and especially why. And I'll say why now. If you see where he's sitting at the moment, he's sitting around, not doing what an Ogre really wants to be doing, and it's because he can't because of the Undying. I get that, and because of those two heroes. But the reason you pick an Ogre is to be a bully, to be on top of the opposition. You know, use his huge strength advantage, his tank, and yeah, just make it really, really hard for the opposing team to get some easy farm. And right now, he's as scared as the Drow at the moment. You know, hiding behind him at times or hiding in the tree lines.
And I mean, he's a
I think at the
tanky,
moment, yeah.
and he's a tanky little bugger that takes quite a lot to bring him down. So the fact that he's scared really says a lot as well.
Yeah, but that's pretty much the Undying for you. It's the Undying sapping his strength. So right now he's only on 480 HP, which is pretty squishy, especially for an Ogre. So I feel like now, look, and it looks like they've turned it into a Trident already, xTc, which I don't think they needed to do, which they decided to do anyway. I think now this is where Fairy Tail needs to decide on how they want to approach this, because in my opinion, with the Ogre there especially, they don't win this Trident. Unless xTc really makes some silly mistakes.
Well, they've committed the tomb. Yeah, they committed the tomb, easy takedown, and that's down now for a big duration. I think it's around about 60 seconds. There you go. So that's down for quite a chunk of time. Not going to be able. They know they're not going to get any aggression now from xTc for the next the next minute or so. And the kill potential on both teams. I mean, look, we've got a lot of control coming out from both teams here. I think maybe just the side of xTc stands a little bit of a better chance, especially if the Undying doesn't get brought down quickly and can get a couple of those stacks off, those DK stacks. Then xTc is saying, yes, please, let's fight if this is how things are going to pan out at the moment. But Katsala not doing too bad, sitting second on the log, considering that this is an off lane. It can kind of show you the disaster that, or how afraid Fairy Tail is at the moment. Jane in the top lane, taking quite a chunk of damage, sitting on about a third HP. Tommy, please, just chunking away, actually deciding to put 2 points into Dragon Blood, making sure that he can withstand the thrushes that Jane throws out. Sitting very low HP at the moment, taking a couple of hits there from the tower. But it's going to be a solo top lane. I think this suits xTc down to the T as well as Fairy Tail. I mean, DK is not getting as much out as he wanted. He's sitting 7-3. The Bloodseeker's sitting 12-8. I mean, Bloodseeker's sitting and having a royal of a whale ass time here.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, if you look at the last hits, the night, it's very marginal, but so far Drow does have the slight advantage, which is actually kind of surprising. It looked like he's having a bit of a hard time, but clearly not. I mean, funnily enough, actually, just a bit of a statistic. I'm sure you'll know this, but as a carry player, one thing, if you're getting, especially in early stages, if you're getting less than 4 last hits a minute, and that's like 4 is minimum, then you know that you're not having the greatest of times and you need some help. And funnily enough, the only person who's sitting at above 4 last hits a minute is this Invoker mid, and now actually the Kunkka.
So
yeah.
So they're doing really well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, considering I know it's It's not an offlaner.
Oh,
That one is just
but here we go. Venge in a little bit of trouble here. Savage Panda just working away. First Blood going in favor of Para. First Blood again. I mean, he must be praying to the FB gods at this point in time. This is going to be his second First Blood in this best of 3. And I'd say that the kill potential was sitting more on the side of xTc. But Fairy Tail came around and said, listen, I got telekinesis. We got a stun from the Ogre. Silence from the Drow. And then just the damage that she's outputting at this point in time is a chunk load. So, I mean, the kill potential, yeah, sitting in favor of Fairy Tail.
Yeah, 100%. I think a large portion of that is because, I mean, I haven't really been taking note of what he's been doing, but if you look in the bot lane, I haven't seen Undying really been applying too much pressure since the beginning of the game.
Beautiful little
something good happened bot now again though.
Yeah. Beautiful little signs coming out of the Savage Panda, actually silencing the Kunkka before he could actually X-draw back into the torrent. So being able to avoid that torrent, very nicely done there from the draw. Really knows her hero, really knows how to avoid the damage output. And I mean, Draw's not one of these tanky heroes, so being able to play these heroes takes a lot of skill, a lot of comfort to be on these heroes, and did rather well there as well.
Yeah, 100%. But like I was saying before that, is that okay, now he's back in lane, but the reason I think the Fairy Tail managed to get that first blood and managed to get that first kill to begin with and had a little bit of space is because Undying for about 2 minutes or about a minute and a bit was completely vacant from any lane, not applying pressure, not doing what Undying does best in the early stages of the game, so not really utilizing the time they have with this advantage the most.
Top lane though, got Mirana in the river, Invoker thrown down the meatball, bringing down Gia Jane, and that Moonlight Shadow not going to be good enough. Nice rotation coming out from the Invoker, getting that beautiful rotation. Arrow flies out, going to hit a creep, not going to catch out the Rubik, and not being able to keep Jane alive top. They probably did know that the Invoker was missing, hence the Musik sitting up in the top lane. But Jane thinking that she could actually tank out all that juice that the Invoker threw out.
Yeah, I mean, what's happening now with regards to for Fairy Tail is exactly what they want. In terms of the fact that obviously they're going to want this. I mean, it's a dream that they're starting to get these early kills up and get this advantage. I mean, you'll see if you look at the losses and denies. And in fact, I'll have a look at net worth in a bit. There you go, net worth. 3 of the top 4 heroes in net worth, I know it's still early stages, but 3 of the top 4 are the Radiant for Fairy Tail. So that, and all 3 of those heroes are the heroes that are crucial in their push strat. So that's definitely
oh, we're going to expect a Sunstrike here. Sunstrike is going to be good, going to kill Jane. Sorry for interrupting you, but that was too sweet to miss. Jane being struck from the raw god himself, Invoker bringing her down. So that's 2 kills for Jane already at the 8-minute mark. Torrent coming out, not latching on to anything. And yeah, sorry to interrupt you there. That was just too pretty to let go by. Arrow comes out. Not gonna just catching out the Ogre, but too deep to actually make anything happen there. So yeah, going back to what you were saying.
Just in terms of the fact that what's going to be nice for Fairy Tail now is that they've caused a situation where they pretty much own the map. They're causing havoc. They're getting kills left, right, and center, and they're forcing xTc to respond to this. And this is really, really good, especially for Drow Ranger, because you can see at the moment she's being left alone now. It might not be for too long because they pinged out the bot lane and pinged out the need to defend, but you know, pressure will start to kind of loosen a bit on the Drow Ranger. She'll be able to get her items up, and the push will really start commencing when that can happen. Right now, she's not too rich at the moment, but you can see she's trying to get that Dragon Lance up. I'm sure Dragon Knight's probably looking to get his Dragon Lance up relatively soon as well.
Oh, Jane.
When that happens.
Sunstrike not landing, a little bit of miscommunication there between the Rubik and the Invoker, but Jane does go down again on that Bloodseeker. And that is now another death here. Rubik just being stunned out. When you're running out now, there comes the Fire Blast from the Ogre Magi. Being slowed down. Timey please gets that Dragon Tail off as well. And another one bites the dust for the side of xTc.
Yeah.
This is not the way that they wanted to be playing this draft, though.
No, I don't quite know what the Vengeful Spirit was trying to achieve there. A bit of a greedy play, running into... yeah, I mean, he was probably trying to get the Rubik up
3.
and trying to get that kill, but running into 3 heroes that he could, well, clearly see there were 3 heroes. They did have vision, so, and, you know, running into that anyway, trying to get that kill, and he wasn't even full HP himself, not that I don't think that would have mattered. So, a bit of an interesting, funny play, not really going his way, but, yeah, I think xTc just need to sit for a second, think about how they're going to approach this game, because right now, things aren't looking too good.
Yeah, no, things aren't looking too good. We know Bloodseekers want to dominate in the early parts of the game. It hasn't been sitting in favor of Jane at this point in time, but it looks like we got Mummy as well as Jane trying to make a move here on DK. They decide to actually back off. The DK is a rather tanky little bugger, and I mean, if you decide to make a move and you get rotations coming in from the side of Fairy Tail, that's not going to be a dead DK.
No, 100%. What I will say is that, thinking about it now,
Or bot lane though, Torrent comes out, the magic missile good to bring down the Rubik. There's X marks the spot on the Invoker. Invoker's gonna actually ghost walk out, gonna survive. When he throws down the Terror Wave, there comes the comes out the Rupture. My mind went blank for a section. Rupture good enough to keep the Ogre in place, but then the kill going in favor of xTc there again. And nice rotations coming out from xTc this time around. Putting the dominance now, getting those kills that were so needed. Unfortunately, didn't actually have dust available to actually get the kill on the Invoker. That would have been a high prize target to actually get that. There comes the silence from the Bloodseeker. Arrow flies good. Going to keep the DK in position, but the Vengeance going to pay with her life. There comes the Tomb. It is down. The boat is going to latch, but the Tomb is down already. Mummy going to bite the dust. Sunstrike. Not going to need it. There, DK getting the last hit there on the Mummy. Jane, she's the one now in trouble. Not enough low HP heroes. Going to be able to just walk out there at normal speed. Doesn't even have Ferrari speed yet. None of the heroes from the side of Fairy Tail are low. The one right click arrow coming out from the draw, slowing it down enough for the DK to get close enough. And that is another dead Bloodseeker down for the count, and immediately smoked up right after the back of those kills. And now they're looking for more, potentially trying to see who's hanging around this T1 tower with 4 players alive still for the side of xTc. So nice little play here coming out from Fairy Tail. I do like this. Doesn't make the team think that they've perhaps retreated, gone back to base, but they are ready. They want more. Here comes a TP. Smoke has been revealed. Musik throws out an arrow. DK gonna find. Actually, gonna just hide away there for the moment. Ogre has also been smoked up. Rubik, it's revealed now as well. There's the Torrent, gonna catch the draw. There comes the ship. There comes the silence out from the dry, keeping the Kunkka at bay. Magic missile holding him in place. No, the fire blast keeping him in place. Now Tomb being brought down in the back line. Sparrow trying to find more. Sunstrike. Almost bringing down Godzilla, but lives by the skin of his teeth. How is it done? We have no idea. Jane not even bothering going into the bot lane, staying top, just trying to make sure that she can get her farm online as quick as she can. I mean, this is a draft that should have been dominating at this point in the game, and things are going horribly wrong for them.
look, I mean, by this stage of the game, I think it was supposed to be really even. I think what let Fairy Tail, xTc down, sorry. xTc down in the early stage of the game was, I mean, I say let down. I feel like they didn't get enough out of Undying to really make it an effective pick. Because what makes Undying incredibly strong is the early team fights and early lane phase when he's got this level 2 or 3 tombstone up and, yeah, this level 2 or 3 tombstone up and, like, don't really want to fight into that as the opposing team.
But they're taking care of it very quickly. Fairy Tail's actually doing really good work, focusing down the tombstone, and it's almost negligible. I mean, by the time the tomb's down and the ship comes out, that tomb is down, and it's now on cooldown for another minute, and the side of Fairy Tail says, well, you got no more tomb, we can fight into this.
Yeah, well, Fairy Tail actually have a very, very good team. I didn't actually pick this up when in the beginning of the draft, but Fairy Tail actually have an incredibly good team to deal with what XT wants to throw at them. I mean, with regard to the tombstone, for one thing, if they want to throw it down, it can be immediately nullified by heroes like the Dro and the DK if they're long range attacks.
Well, this fight looks like it's turning out a little bit better here for xTc. Dragon Knight actually being ruptured up. Tomb does get brought down, but it was a good Boyden torrent earlier from Kadzilla. Now the chase is on here from the Ogre. Stun, X marks the spot. Ogre is down. And they have taken down 3 of the side here for Fairy Tail, only losing the Mummy in return. And now they may actually look at trying and get this tier 1 tower instant TP in here from Ragnar on our Invoker. Has actually primed up his... well, he's only got his Chaos Meteor at the moment, waiting for the Alacrity to actually cast on someone. And looks like xTc, they're going to put pressure. There comes the Tornado. There comes the Silence. They're going to try and focus down. Things thrown out onto the Bloodseeker. Parrot stunning out the Vengeful Spirit. Invoker trying to make something happen here. Does get that little stunner off. And now we've got Kadzilla sitting in the backlines over here under the tier 1 tower. There comes the swap, trying to keep him alive. Tawana can actually bring him down, but Veg does bite the dust. There comes the Sunstrike, not going to head onto the Kunkka. Beautiful little dodge there from him. Now, inversed up here from the Marana. They're going to be brought down. Does someone have the gem? I don't know. We've got dust that was actually popped earlier. And nice little turnaround here from Fairy Tail. They said, well, okay, you took a fight off us. We made a silly mistake. Now we're going to show you what we're really made of. And now that's going to cost them their tier 1 tower mid.
Yeah, I think what xTc are doing at the moment is they're winning fights. And like this fight they did at the moment, they won that fight, albeit they lost the tower on the top lane when Invoker was pushing. You know, really big fight. And then trying to push an advantage and try push a tower when really they should have just gone back a bit, farmed a little bit, and relaxed a little bit. And the reason I say that is because when they went to go for that push, you know, Invoker just TP'd in mid. All of their heroes are like within 4 seconds of respawning, so you know, and they weren't quite in the position where, you know, let's try fight them as 5-on-5 underneath one of their towers. They're not in that position yet. Look at the net worth. Invoker is flying ahead. All 3 of their cores are the top 3 in net worth at the moment. So right now, you know, what they want to be looking for is, you know, pickups, fight them when they split.
Well, mid lane, Rubik gonna bite the dust. Nice little swap, stun coming out. A little apprehensive torrent coming out from the Kunkka, but I mean as a player now, it's easy for us to sit here, see the game, and say, right, well, xTc took a good fight off Fairy Tail. They decided to translate that into a tier 1 tower, and then got beaten up for it. I mean, how is a player sitting in a game like that, you know, right, well, okay, we've destroyed the team. How do we proceed from here? Do we just back off, or do we actually push this tier 1 tower?
Well, it completely depends on what your draft is set out to do, really, and where your draft is at the moment, what the time is. It depends on so many factors.
Alright, well, we'll get back to that. Ball comes down, Tomb taken out. Venge trying to get himself out of dodge here. DK has actually been transformed into Elder form. They're going to try and find more. Can the DK find it? The time's going to be good. So is the arrow. Going to keep the DK in at bay. Venge is going to have the time to get himself out of dodge. Silence coming out from the Bloodseeker. Yeah, in the backlines, the DK from the Mummy gets thrown out, trying to reduce their HP pool as much as they can. Sentry down. DK does pick up the Venge in the backlines. Now stunned out on the Marana. And not being able to actually keep any of those players alive. And it seems like players are suffering with a couple of these spikes. Nonetheless, this is the life of Dota. If you're a cricketer and it starts raining, you gotta no, not a cricketer, a rugby player.
Not quite.
Yeah, that's like that's exactly not what I'm trying to say. Stun coming out from Para in the backlines, getting Jane all stunned up there, not allowing her to run anyway. But it's the nature of the game. Unfortunately, even though we wish we would have lagless servers, it is not possible, and it keeps us on our toes. I mean, we're playing against an enemy as well as against our connections. But nonetheless, this is where it leaves us.
Yeah, I can actually see the spiking during the cast. Really, it's hard for the players to play through it. I've experienced it myself. It's been like this for a while. Unfortunately, hopefully it gets fixed soon by wherever the problem is. But unfortunately, here in SA Data, we kind of just have to sit and deal with it when it's the peak hours of the evening, and it is 10 o'clock at the moment. So a lot of people using the service probably just under a little bit of a strain.
So could everyone please get on your friends lists, tell your friends to leave Dota, close down the servers because we are lagging, and damn it, we don't want to lag. But top lane, it looks like they're trying to hunt out the Invoker. He is stuck here in the corner. They don't have any reveal on any of them. I mean, this is like crucial mistakes that shouldn't actually be happening. That could have actually been a dead Invoker if they had dust.
Yeah, no, 100%. Again, just a small little miscommunication thing, I think. Not everyone on the same page, like who's bringing protection, whatever. I've seen a few instances of a little bit of miscommunication. I mean, I've seen you. I mean, I don't know what your relationship is with xTc. This xTc team is, but I get the sense that they're a relatively new side. Just on the basis that like one or two times. It's not always like massive, but you can see not everyone's on the same page. You know, they'll run through, they'll try to do a play. Often it'll work out, but you'll find, I don't know, sometimes Avenge swapping somebody out of a torrent or something really minuscule like that. Not the hugest thing in the world, but I think it might just be nerves or just the fact that they're a new team and the communication is a little bit lacking, but they're going to be working on that.
Yeah, so I think it's up to the team cap to control their troops, make sure that they understand who they're targeting, who they trying to focus down in team fights, and make that their objective, their primary goal. I mean, at this point in time, if xTc is looking to engage, I mean, I feel they need to engage onto the Drow. I mean, that's their high potential target. I mean, the damage that she's giving out to the rest of her team, considering that. Like 4 of them are really ranged heroes, 3 of them are ranged heroes that are benefiting from her aura. Get rid of her, already you're dealing with, a lot less damage, and then once that happens, then you turn your attentions to the Invoker, and then whatever's left afterwards. I mean, that would be my understanding, to take away the person that's doing the most damage.
If not her, then definitely the Invoker. Reason I say Invoker is because he also, you know, provides a heck of a lot of damage during the fights. He's also the highest net worth on the side of Fairy Tail, and at the same time, he's pretty much like 60-70% of Fairy Tail's control in the fights. You know, Dro, yeah, she does have her gust, but she's only damage. If you can jump on top of her, she's almost useless. Whereas someone like Invoker is doing so much, you know, controlling the other team, dealing a lot of damage, draining their mana, whatever. That's just the nature of Invoker, and Invoker is doing a heck of a job of that at the moment. So if not the Dro Ranger, then definitely they need to get the Invoker out. The fact of the matter is, the way I feel that xTc needs to approach this game now is they can't fight them 5-on-5 right now. I think that Fairy Tail just very simply has a much stronger team fight right now. If the positioning is fine, which it has been for most of the time, for most of the game. And so how I think xTc needs to approach this game is look for pickoffs, look for when Fairy Tail out of position or some of them are split, engage with them and then back out. I think a lot of the time their problem is they're going in for those fights when they shouldn't be, because, you know, they're a little bit behind. They don't really want to take them 5-on-5. But when they often do take them on, when there are splits, they stay a little bit too long for them to regroup, and then they kind of lose the advantage they just made. So that's what xTc needs to do right now, I think.
All right, well, let's see if they actually do play towards the way that you suggested. Something I just want to ask you is, I noticed the DK's items actually gone for a Manta style. It's not, I don't really see it that common on DK to actually pick up a Manta. What do you think he's thinking is there? That if he gets silenced out from the Bloodseeker, he's got something to maybe Manta out of? Nonetheless, here comes a big fight here at the top. We'll get back to that. Here comes the stun out from the DK. We're focusing on Winnie. Here comes the boat on top of the tomb. Gonna just land onto 2. The Drow and the DK in trouble now in the back lines. Para trying to keep his team alive. Jane trying to find the poor Ogre, but now turns his attention to the Rubik. Should have stayed in Viz there, my friend. Now in the back lines, Drow trying to work down that Kunkka. And now Ogre Magi goes down to Jane. Double kill for her. Eventually coming to the party. And the cat is going to leap away. Now Savage Panda as well as the Invoker jump onto her, turn it around and give Savage Panda a triple kill. This potentially could be a devastating space here for the side of xTc. They've got enough damage to maybe put a little bit of chip damage onto this tier 3. If not, they're just going to back out, potentially see if they can jump into the Rosh, but their big tanks are almost online. And now with the new map setup is almost instant TP support here for Rosh. I mean, they've got this position here where the side of the Radiant can TP to come and get to Rosh, and here for the side of the Dire, they would have their Sanctuary here, but it's actually been taken down already. So backing up that Rosh pit is going to be a little bit more difficult for xTc. I feel that's the play that Fairy Tale needs to actually do, is jump into that pit. They're removing this other Sanctuary now as well. So all TP options are out the window. All rejuvenation points are only in the throne and in the base. This is a little bit of an issue for them, but they'll make it through. This is how Dota has been prior to update 7. So this is like normal for us. It's like saying, well, this is what we've been dealing with the last couple of years, guys. But now just taking the advantage of actually seeing how these sanctuaries actually provide a little bit more. Could be a little bit better for them.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they're going for the Rush right now, which I really like. I mean, to be honest with you, you probably find that they're in a position where they don't even need Rush. With the DK, with these Dragon and Throw Range, with his Aura and her damage, and even the Invoker, you probably find they could take a rack without it. But I like this because, you know, anything can happen when you're trying to breach high ground. They could lose the fight very easily, and just going for this much safer, they've got a much safer option. They've got the map control. xTc aren't really in the position to contest, and they didn't. So the much safer play, and I think a really good. It's a good decision by the shot caller in.
Oh,
for the side of the
Mummy's gonna get blown up. From the side of Fairy Tale. And I mean, look at this timing. We've only been in the game for 25 minutes. It feels like we've been in here for the last 2 hours. I mean, 17 kills on the board for the side of Fairy Tale, 10 kills for the side of xTc. And I mean, this is what we expect from a Drow lineup for the game to go this quick. xTc must have known that this was coming, especially after that Drow was picked up. And the Bloodseeker would have actually said to me, they knew about this, but unfortunately xTc couldn't get what they wanted to out of this map. In the bot lane though, comes out the Tornado, the Rupture out onto the Invoker. She's going to carry on running. Arrow does land. There comes the swap. Nice little swap from Winnie. Play of the day. There comes the stun out from the Ogre Magi onto the Venge. She's down now. Tomb trying to do work, but Mummy does hit the deck. 4 players here for the side of Fairy Tale trying to make something happen. Aegis does respawn now. Mirana in a little bit of trouble. She does hit the deck. Invoker does manage to survive out. Rurik gets down, taken down from the boat. Bon voyage, my friend. Drow gets taken out here from Gia Jane. Now Ketzela. He's going to survive out here. He's going to be able to... No, he's not. He's going to be brought down. X-Master Spot brings him on top of the torrent. There's the Sunstrike. Going to do a little bit of damage to Jane, but not enough to actually bring her down. Triple kill for Jane. Massive comeback, massive stand, and good defense coming out from the side of xTc. Only keeping Invoker alive. Buyback on pretty much most of the players from the side of Fairy Tale. Only lacking the Rubik. But for the side of xTc... most of the supports lacking that buyback status, and thank goodness Jane was able to hold off and keep them in the game a little bit longer.
Yeah, 100%. I think a very big overextension from the side of the Radiant, from the side of Fairy Tale.
I think it was that swap. I think it was this swap here from the Invoker by the Vengeful. That was it what put them in there.
But again, I think, I mean, Invoker did have Aegis, so she was coming back, and I feel like, I mean, to be honest with you, I think Like again, it got to a point where the fight was going a bit south, and they kept pressing it. I mean, Invoker was already dead. I think two of the supports were down as well. Let's say Invoker was dead. Invoker was already out. He left because he left on pretty much nothing. Rubik had died. Ogre I think had just died as well, and there was DK sitting by their tier 4s, still chasing them down. So I think a little bit of another extension. Really awesome fights for xTc. That couldn't have gone too much better for them. They lost a few heroes, but they didn't lose a Rax. In fact, the Raxes and the tier 3 barely got touched. So I think all in all, really good for xTc. It's just showing that to the opposing team that look, we're not done yet. So you're gonna have to try a little bit harder if you want to break this space. And I think Fairy Tail are gonna have to think a little bit better on how they're gonna approach the siege.
Yeah, well, they've got some good high ground defense, especially with their tomb. When that tomb's online, it makes it a little bit easier for them to defend. Now, I want to go to, like, I mean, I find it quite a tough choice now. Jane's starting to do some good work here. So, looking at her talent tree, she's got an option of, when she gets to level 25, 7 seconds cooldown on Blood Right or 30% lifesteal. Now, considering how many casters are on the side of the Radiant, what do you think is the best option for her to go on to choose?
So, repeats for who?
For G.I. Jane, the Bloodseeker. At level 25, does she take the 7-second cooldown on Blood Right? That's basically silence every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Or the lifesteal.
I think that's very tough. I think they're both really good in different ways, because the lifesteal is going to give him a load of sustain, and I think to a degree he does need that quite a lot. I mean, then you could argue that Undying could help him a bit there with the Soul Rift, and then obviously you've got the Rum from Ghost Rift helping a bit as well. But I think right now, I think if it gets that stage, I mean, Bloodseeker just needs to turn into a machine. So 30% lifesteal would be strong, but I don't know. I'm kind of glad I'm not in his shoes to decide what talent to go for.
No, I think there could be a little bit of a tough choice. But here we go. It looks like they're starting to make a move. Blood Right is down on the deck. Rupture is out. DK does try and put in a bit of trouble. Yeah, Swap comes out on the Rubik, brings down the Rubik. Winnie in the backlines. Jane coming to help him out, trying to bring him down the Drow. There comes the Blood Right. There comes the Tornado from the Invoker, keeping Jane in vicinity. She's going to hit the deck, trying to bring down the DK on the sidelines. Oh, the Mummy does hit the deck as well. Conker trying to turn around, trying to keep himself alive a little bit longer, sitting in the ice wall, making it very difficult for them to get themselves out of trouble here. Silent Stab, the Marana can't leap out of that ice wall. And 2 alive from either team, the Marana as well as the Conker, versus the Invoker and the Drow. The arrow lands on the Drow. She could take this. Yep. She gets it. Oh my god. Musik, and he gets out free of charge. Easy kill on the Drow Ranger. That is exactly what xTc needed. No way that they can push at the moment. Actually, instant TP coming out, bot from the Invoker, gives up the chase top, and the dream is gone. I mean, that is... I mean, it's 32 minutes in the game. It's like 32 minutes in the game, and it feels like it's the end times.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like I said in the beginning when I said that with regards to Drow lineups, they're very strong, but you have to be very disciplined, because it's a very, I say small, but there's a very specific time when you're the most effective as a lineup, and that's very much dependent on when Drow is most effective as a lineup.
How much time do you think they have?
I think when it gets to about 40-45 minutes, that's when they need to start getting a bit worried, because I think the further this game goes, the more they're going to need to be worried about the Bloodseeker, the more they're going to be worried. They need to be worried about the Kunka, because if you watch how Kunka is building, he's building that crit one shot.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking through the ball. that is super unfortunate. Let's actually just go into landscape mode. So, we can't. That would have been very cool to actually see. Can you go into, what do you call it, showcase mode?
No, I can't.
Oh, that would have been really, really
It's
cool to
weird.
check it out.
That might just be a game glitch or game bug, because it gives you the option, but I can't select an. I don't know.
Well, Jane surviving, very little HP. Maybe trying to be spotted out here. Sunstrike, got to dodge it. Maybe lifesteal off the creep. She decides just to get back to base. Too worried about heroes in the vicinity. And Invoker makes it out rather easily, turning their intentions to Jane, and she's making it out safely at this point in time.
Yeah, 100%. But anyway, going back to what I was going to say, like if you look at how Kunkka's building that typical. Okay, he goes Echo Saber. That's a bit of an interesting pickup. I mean, yeah, he's still got his crits, but I don't know how it's going to help him with his splash damage. But basically, you see Kunkka's building into that. I'm going to hit a range creep, and you're going to feel it build pretty much. So I think the later this game goes, I think the later this game goes, pretty much, the more dependent they're going to be on the Invoker, because it's going to get to a point where heroes like DK and heroes that draw into fall off, and you know they've lost their last few fights when they try to push in, and they've just now lost an Ogre Magi. So xTc really starting to find their feet now. And another hero we haven't really I haven't really spoken about in terms of going into the late game is this.
Drow's in a lot of trouble here. Caught under the tower, taking a damage from the Blood Rot. Here comes a tornado into the boat. Kunkka lands it on the Invoker. Now Jane focusing her attentions onto the Invoker. Okay, getting Yuled up. X marks the spot. Not going to be able to latch onto the Invoker. Do they have dust? And unfortunately, once again, the side of xTc fall apart when it comes down to it.
Undying had a sentry. He placed it too late.
Oh wow, that is super unfortunate here from the side of xTc. And Sunstrike, can we see where it landed?
I can just feel the tilt from the players. You can see a lot of them not very happy with the server situation, and quite rightly so. Very frustrating situation to be in, having to play a very close game, and you know the server's just making things unbearable and almost impossible to play in. I believe this is the same server that they had at the Mega 8, and it's pretty much it's quite strange because we've been having this like pretty much since straight after
our update,
the DGC or Rage. It kind of cropped up and it hasn't gone away, and that was in October.
Yeah,
it's been around for quite a while.
I think we need to form a group of where we go around and beat up servers and say give us better servers. But yeah, it's the nature of the game, unfortunately, 100%. And the players have to deal with it. Both players, both teams, all suffer with the same difficulties, and even more so the more skilled heroes. But Marana jumping in, getting the stun on the DK. There comes the boat, not going to land because he BK beat up. Looks like they're going to try and turn it around. Bloodright's coming down, going to force the draw back, but DK pushes forward. Has been zoned away from his team, but the team is coming forward. And Marana has altered, so now Moonlight Shadow's down. There comes out an arrow, going to land on one of the illusions, instant killed. And they're going to have to now they're going to have to defend, yeah.
Yeah, but this is going to be interesting because I think what's going to happen now is Fairy Tail looking like they're going to want to push, but Dragon Knight's BKB is down, so you know it's a bit of a risky play. He's very vulnerable without that BKB. Yeah, he's got his Dragon Form up, but I don't know if that's the risk they want to
swap
take.
The draw. Swap the draw, Winnie. He's been raptured. They're not going to actually force it. There comes the tornado into MP. Tomb is down. DK running up the hill now. Marana leaping away. We got the telekinesis up onto the mummy. Leap forward there from the Rubik. Gonna hit the deck, but DK does also go down. Jane trying to find the Rubik, and does eventually go down to the tower. They're trying to find more. Nosek jumping aggressively forward here. Can they find the draw? Jane coming in the back line. Doesn't get silenced up. Jane working on that draw. There comes the torrent. Swapped out. Taking a chunk of damage there from the Sunstrike. And now, do they have dust eventually? Can this team hold it together? And once again, no dust on the side of xTc. And the Invoker walks away. Beautiful little hold there coming out from xTc. Being able to keep that mid-rax concrete and secured. Not making it a too aggressive play there from the Venge onto the Drow. Rupturing the Drow immediately. knowing that the Drow, once she's out of contention, things will be a lot easier. Now now we're sitting at like almost 38 minutes, and it feels that the tides are changing. I mean, Kunkka's prayed to his leviathans in the bottom of the sea and said, "Bring us the tides, bring us the storms," and it looks like it's happening.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know if you have a look at Undying, what he's building. It looks like he's going to be building a heart.
Oh wow! I was going to say he was super underfarmed, but I mean, I would say at this point in time, he needs a pipe, not a heart.
To be honest with you, I mean, like, I don't know if I agree with the heart. I mean, I'll tell you what, him building a heart, he's going to be quite hard to deal with in terms of his tank. But I feel like, especially with the Drow Ranger and a lot of the silencers and stuff that they have, something like a Guardian's Greave would have been excellent. A pipe would have been great. Even to a certain degree, a Crimson Guard might not have been too bad. I feel like with the team that they have, aura-orientated items, even like a Vlad's. I think a Vlad's would have been awesome as well, considering that all their cores are melee, except for Kitty. So I don't know if I agree with the heart. It might work in his favor. I mean, it might not even matter because of with the way things are going, and how out of control Bloodseeker is starting to become, considering his start when he was one of the lowest heroes in the net worth.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll have to see.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I suppose maybe the pressure gets to people and you keep dying, so you think, what's the easiest way to stay alive? And you automatically start going towards heart. I mean, even another option, instead of even going for a heart, is maybe just get a blade mail. I mean, if the invoker throws all her stuff down and says, okay, look, I'm going to die, let me at least damage you a little bit and throw down that blade mail, take the damage, and the rest of my team can clean up. Because I mean, even if the invoker gets to like very low HP, the Bloodseeker starts becoming like an absolute Ferrari, and then you've got to try and outrun a Bloodseeker that's doing like what, 570 is the new updated speed, I think.
I'm not 100% sure.
I know max speed was 522. I think it's now actually drastically increased to like just sub 600, but not too sure. I mean, the update is new. A lot of things that we still have to learn. I mean, a lot of hero changes, but Ogre gonna try and see if they can find out. Someone drops that ward quickly. Jane gets spotted out, and now so does the Kunkka. They're trying to see if they can take this fight around Rush. This is going to be the next point of contention. Rubik hasn't got any spells stolen yet, so this is going to be super interesting here. And let's just take a look, see if xTc's actually fixed things up in their inventories. They don't have dust yet from what I see. And okay, they have one sentry in Mummy, and that's pretty much it. Musik has got the gem. So finally they said enough is enough, and the gem is sitting now on the Marana. This is now looking like something that Fairy Tail needs to be very, very scared of.
Yeah, 100%. With every second that ticks by, XT are just getting stronger and stronger and stronger. They're farming a little bit more effectively at the moment. I mean, yeah, you can see actually Fairy Tail taking Roshan, but XT are aware of this, and let's see how this fight goes.
Well, they're under Moonlight Shadow. They're going to try and jump into the push. Jane is in there, knows that it's not there, so they're going to try and take a fight without the side of Fairy Tail knowing. There comes the dust. Two supports in the back lines. They're going to try and bring down the Kunkka. There comes the defensive swap. Still going to go down eventually. DK doing some work here on the lines. Let's zoom in so we can see what's happening. Mummy going to get brought down, doing quite a chunk of damage as DK. There comes the Rupture. The Orchid does eventually... The Blood Right does go off, and Aegis does go to Jane. So losing 3 of their players just to get the Aegis. Don't know if that was the best play, but eventually they did actually get the Aegis. A full 5 team man is still on their way top. And now stun comes out, down goes the Aegis. And buyback's only available on the Bloodseeker as well as the Mummy at this point in time. Drow has actually been arrowed out. And Jane is going to be down. Marana stuck up in the top trees. Immediately flies out a TP scroll. and going to have to get himself back to base rather quickly. And this little mishap is going to translate into a tier 3 tower being brought down, potentially even the Rex being brought down as well. Barbec's coming online, only the Kunka's not back, so they may actually look at being able to defend this. Melee Rex does go down. Now they're just looking at the range Rex. This could be the slow nail in the coffin here for the side of XTC. And arrow flies out from the Rubik.
Yeah,
and
latches. Something that pretty much started off weak and steel there. Their rush pretty much almost instantly turned into a losing of a Rax top. So not the greatest. I mean, great idea. I mean, they really were in the position to take that fight, but I think just on two different wavelengths, trying to. I think if Bloodseeker was going to try to steal it, I don't think they should have tried to fight them, but rather kind of control them and deter them away, rather than drawing them in and trying to fight them when you knew that Bloodseeker wasn't going to be in the fight and you were only going to fight after you got the Aegis. I think that was a bit of a misplay.
100%. I think even if that was the case, don't send the Kunkka in the front line, send the Mummy, so you can actually send the boat and the torrent on top of him. And unfortunately, Kunkka was actually front lining there, brought down rather quickly, and things went a little bit awry there. So yeah, so when things like that go quickly for teams, when you got to make those like split-second decisions, you've kind of then just say, right, well, we got to make a go for it. And if your teams aren't on the same wavelength, you kind of suffer that way. Now Morane, the arrow goes flying out, doesn't actually connect. Oh, we do hear X marks the spot. There comes the Sunstrike. Torrent is going to be good onto the Rubik. Force himself out of the blood right. Now Rupture out on the Dro. G.I. James focusing down the Dro. Need that BKB, baby.
It's a very crucial fight.
Not going to get it. The DK still standing toe to toe. Drow does go down, but so does Jane. Down for 102 seconds. Drow has bar back, so does Rubik. They're not going to have to bar back now. 3 players here allowed for the side of Fairy Tail. They're looking to push. Sunstrike's going to be good. Going to catch the Invis. Vengeful Spirit. That is now 2 down, 2 alive for the side of XTC. And maybe it's enough. Maybe it's not. We'll have to wait and see if the Kunkka as well as the Marana can hold off this tanky threesome here.
At least be another set of racks with the DK. He's got more than enough time with his dragon form. So another rack's definitely falling down. And now, XTC in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, this is absolutely not the position XTC want to be in. I mean, they took some really good fights. They took a couple of bad fights. And I mean, in the beginning of the game, we were saying that XTC have a little bit of a better opportunity to take a bad situation and make it better.
Yeah.
And it just didn't kind of happen that way. And now they've taken bottom lane racks. GG has been called. That is it. XTC has been knocked out. Fairy Tail takes home the bacon. They are the winners of the Scrub tournament. Well played to the guys of Fairy Tail. And unfortunately, XTC couldn't bring home the cake, bring home the bacon, bring home the moolah, and they get taken out of this tournament. So before we head off, maybe you can give us a quick rundown of where things kind of went bad from XTC, because I think Fairy Tail really had the upper hand for the majority of the game. There was like those glimpses of hope throughout the game where XTC was thinking they could come back, but they actually it was not very long lived. So where do you think that XTC could have improved, or what did Fairy Tail do better?
I think with XTC is that a lot of their team was very reliant on winning that early game, especially and maybe not necessarily winning, but really slowing down that Dro Rangers farm, and they didn't really do that effectively. The Undying did a decent amount of work, at least in the early stage of the game. Didn't do as much as I think they would have liked, and I think that let them down a little bit. So working on the early game, that kind of stuff might be very useful for them. And then just towards the end, I mean, some small item choices were maybe not what they should have been. But I think there was a stage in the game when pretty much like they were kind of crawling their way back when the Drow Ranger was kind of losing our power a little bit, and then just one or two little small mistakes, which can cost the game, as has shown. So just working on the decision making, that sort of stuff, and kind of having a better understanding on when their team is strongest, when they should apply pressure, and I think then they will improve a lot.
All right, well, there you have it. That's going to bring the end to this best of three. Taking it 2-0 is going to be Fairy Tale. Congratulations to them. From myself, Jabba, from Cyprus, joining me from Harv, we hope that you have an amazing night, a great tomorrow, and a better next day. And for all of you that are going away for the festive season, we wish you safe travels, and buy me lots and lots of presents for Christmas. Otherwise, we hope that you spend it with your families, and remember this time of the year for all of those that do not have what we have. From ourselves, a good night and God bless.
Cheers, cheers.